So what I'm going to talk about today is we have found Solana sort of bottoms-up community layer in the US, and how I think about it 2025 onwards. I think 5 years is like a phase. All the phases have been sort of happening faster in crypto, but things have really changed in the last couple of years of how you can sort of do things, how you can organize people on Solana. Solana's grown so big. I think this requires a sort of a rethought of how you go about it now onwards. But why do we need communities? Multiple reasons. Communities are all weather. Crypto, for whatever reason, is very cyclical. Whenever markets go down, a lot of the interest sort of disappears for a bit. It's impermanent loss. It comes back, we don't know when. But communities are generally all weather. This thing that we run called Superteam around the world has had some version of constant interest through all kinds of market conditions. So I think if you have a strong community base, it helps you survive downturns in a much more easy way. Community onboarding, there are multiple ways to onboard people into crypto. There's big hackathons. Colosseum does. We have Matty in the audience here. They happen roughly once in every 6 months. There are events that keep happening. There are hacker houses that happen in big cities once a year. The breakpoint happens once a year. But what is the time to sort of fastest IRL interaction? I think that has to happen at a city or a university level. Communities are very efficient. The smaller the community you build, the less number of full-time people you need to sort of run the thing and talk to every single person. It's like, to have a good community, you have to make sure that whoever is running the community knows every single person around and is able to help them get into Solana in some ways, which obviously gets harder to do the bigger the size of the community is. I think a good size of a community is somewhere around 100 to 200 at maximum. And the other sort of main reason is that founders often need these communities. If Solana is successful, only when founders building dApps on top of Solana are successful. To even get off the ground, you need this sort of ecosystem support around you, which does all things from as small as making intros to the right engineering people, but sort of also become your first fans, your first users, your first investors, your first supporters, whatever. So I think all of this, the easiest way to get all of this as close to as possible is some version of a bottoms-up community. And we just have some good pictures. One of the more evolved versions of our community, Superteam India, which is the first one we started 4 years ago. Now they have community-funded workspaces. They're always bunch of venture-funded companies have come out of there. They're doing some of the more cutting-edge research as well now, and they're in the process of getting many more of these. And these sort of things took a long time, but now I'm pretty confident that if you just take everybody who is formally associated with Solana Foundation or Labs in any way completely out of India, Solana will continue to survive in a very good way there. So I think this is something we want to do in every country, every city in the world over time. Dan Albert talked about Solana economic zones, which is a good sort of jolt to give to a place. But I think the ideal end state is when you have some version of Solana integrated into the sort of community fabric of the place where everybody can exit and it still survives. But there's a lot of rethinking you have to do when you think about bottoms-up community ecosystem and the US, because of many reasons. Like the US is the OG. Solana started out of Silicon Valley. It was very American when it started, but as Solana has become more successful, fortunately or unfortunately, the sort of people who work in the Solana ecosystem have been working for a long time, have sort of fallen out of touch with, and this includes myself, I've fallen out of touch with the sort of new and upcoming emergent talent in Solana. The US has fewer people than most other sort of countries interested in Solana, but they're much higher quality people. The US is a bimodal audience where if you look at any other country where we've worked, the two big sort of Solana things are meme coins and projects, like dev projects. And meme coins become a good way to onboard people in these countries because the only people who have enough money to do meme coin stuff outside of the US are the devs. So, but in the US, that's not how it is. The US, like the meme coin community people, the NFT people, and the tech people are two completely separate audiences. They, of course, interact with the same wallet, chain, DeFi, but they interact with the same sort of Solana infrastructure, but as people, they're completely separate groups. Universities in the US have very real talent, and the venture ecosystem already sort of takes this into account, but there's a sort of specialized role of universities in the US, which changes how you have to think of communities and what they focus on as well. And it's a very big country. The time it takes to go from SF to New York, within that time and distance of travel in the rest of the parts in other parts of the world, we have like 6 countries and 6 very deep communities. So you obviously can't have one America community. So there is much lesser things to do overall, but I think it's a much more important and a higher value thing to sort of figure out as early as possible. Quick intro. Why do I know what I'm talking about? My name is Neil. I've been on the founding team of Superteam and been working on international market growth for Solana for the last 3.5 years now. We've helped launch Solana and Solana sort of super fan groups and which we call super teams, where we do content, community, and capital, creating a whole funnel for talent across 15 to 16 countries now. It's probably now 17. And since earlier this year, I've been focusing on the US because I thought there was something, it was like sort of the natural conclusion to a lot of the things I was doing, where it became important to solve this before you move on. So can we create a network of communities, the united communities for the United States? That's what that's my quick line about this. It's part of a small presentation I've been putting up. I'm going to present internally at Solana Foundation. I thought I'll sort of demo it to all of you. So it's just my thoughts. It's just a spiel. And please feel free to ask any questions, push back. So what does the network of communities have? I think there are like sort of 2 main set of nodes. And you could probably have like a hub and spoke model where there's like a hub city and there's like things that happen around it. So I think you just tabulate top 15 cities across the US and where there is some talent and some good crypto involvement, and you create a very, very small city-based support system there. For example, we can probably kick something off in Boston after the end of the conference, where this very small community becomes the first point of contact for anybody. I'm sorry. It becomes the first point of contact for anybody who wants to get involved in Solana. If all the Solana contributors, Solana employees, Solana investors are already part of this small group, it could be very simple. It just could be a Telegram group. But if I'm an engineer at Fidelity, I want to know more about how do I get involved in Solana, there should be an easy way for me to just get started, which is this sort of community to join. They should probably manage the University to Solana contributor pipeline. Most universities in the US have some people hidden around who do some Solana things. I'm going to talk about how you sort of solve a bunch of the university problems as well. But whoever's leading a city should be able to make sure that once they do somewhat well at a university, they get connected to the rest of the Solana ecosystem and manage that pipeline from Babson here to Solana globally. Give out microgrants. Grants are a big part of, in the content community capital funnel, grants are a big part of how you sort of reward and incentivize the best of people to do more. The bigger the country, the bigger the place, the harder it is to figure out whom to give grants to, whom to support, how to think about this. So I think this has to happen at a city level as well. Support and connect local founders. As I talked about, founder support. Anybody who's starting a Solana company in your city, you have to bat for them wherever you go. You have to make sure that if you're some version of a Solana insider or you've been around for a while, you can get them to where they need to go. They've probably been to many more events like these. They know many more people in the Solana ecosystem who can help them. Make sure that you connect them. Make sure that you sort of become the sort of angel investor kind of person for these people, and you lead by example. You don't want communities run by community managers. You want communities run by the most competent Solana ideologue in the city. So a reason why a lot of the communities fail is because they're like they're like communities for the sake of it. It's like somebody who loves talking to people just runs a community. I think that's not the way to do it, especially in the US, where people sort of love and respect people who are better than them. And it's like a meritocratic way of doing things. Is you want to make sure that whoever's organizing the small dinner you go to is a 10x better Solana developer than you are. You don't want to go to a dinner. Or it's like also a rule of thumb. If you go to a dinner organized by a professional dinner organizer, it's not going to be as good as a dinner organized by the best Solana founder who lives close to you. And what do you do at universities? You want somebody to run a very small group of Solana ideologues and Solana contributors from that university. And this is not the crypto club. It's bold capital because it's one of my strong opinions that you do not want anything to be run by the university blockchain club. They are like, most often they're CV pumping rackets for people to get jobs at Meta. You don't want to buy somebody's allegiance. You don't want to pay money to their crypto club to do some small Solana project that 35 people can get together and do and put money into some university DAO and go for a trip to Punta Cana. What you want to support the individuals who are already very into Solana, who are already building on Solana, and you want to empower them to onboard the marginal Solana person and support them as well. So small meetups, frequent office hours, some dev sessions, help people upskill, and most importantly, help students earn on Solana. Once you start earning early on Solana, this is one of our big things, you mostly never leave. Or at least you're around for a reasonably long time. And again, lead by example. You want the best people to run these small outfits at universities. So talking about lead by example, maybe there's somebody here who's at this conference who's from MIT, Harvard, Northeastern, Babson, Boston University, Boston College, who's if you're already here on a Saturday afternoon, you're probably already actually into Solana. You're not just a drifter and a grifter. So people like that, if there's anybody around, I'm going to do more call to actions around the place. But if there's somebody like that here, they should actually get in touch, start something like this, and Solana Foundation and Superteam will be happy to support you in the early days so that we can sort of get into this whole network of Solana communities around the country. We've already made some baby steps. We have Stanford on-chain. We have Chicago on-chain, which the Cube office runs. Longhorns is like UT Austin. We have something going on. SF on-chain is something I've sort of been more involved in helping, where we started off of the Solana Labs office, and then now we have a separate workspace as well. 150 or so people. The sport in Miami, which a bunch of people from Jito and Drift run. There's Bears on chain in Berkeley, Franklin DAO at Penn, and hopefully much more. One thing we're try doing is Boston on chain. Can you create a very high quality group for Boston Solana people? So it's like bostonchain.org. I think like a quick website is up live. A sign up form is already live. If you live in Boston, if you're interested in this sort of thing, and if you want to be one of the early members, you can just get on there and you'll get an invite very soon. So again, bostonchain.org. We're going to start, hopefully, my personal goal is to do it within the next 96 hours, at least get some version of this up and running. I'll keep it on for 3 more seconds if somebody needs to get the spelling or something right. 1, 2, 3. And yeah, that's it for now. I'm pretty excited about how to sort of create this network of ecosystems a network ecosystem of communities in the US. So over time, you can probably create something like a Superteam USA, which is not a community, but a whole ecosystem of communities. I'm on Shroff on Telegram and Twitter. If you want to talk more about any of this, I'm open to questions right now. I'll be around at the conference and the after party. And you can also just DM me at either of these places anytime you want. But yeah, that's all. Thank you. Any questions you had?
Yeah, let's get some questions. Here we go.
I appreciate the talk. I've been a founder in Solana since 2021. I live in Boston, so I'm very excited to participate. My question is, what size do we need to get to for Solana to help us with a shipyard? Because I'd like some more office space. My home office is nice, but if I could get some office space with the help of Solana, that'd be great.
I mean, the shipyard is one of the later stages of bottoms-up community evolution. If you have the Telegram group I mentioned before, it'll start with 6 good people. If we can get to 15 who want to come to an office 3 times a week, we'll figure out a way to get your office space.
Now we have a goal. Great, thanks.
That's all we need.
Do we have some more questions?
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Wanted to go all the way back earlier on when you were talking about how US is bimodal versus most other places are not. Would you say that is better, different, worse?
Just different. I mean, why is the US, like, if you just dive in deeper, for example, just take the meme coin and NFT example. Most parts of the world, the devs are the people who make the most money. And it's probably true in the US as well, but in the US, there's lots of ways to make a lot of money. Devs are rich here, devs are rich in Vietnam as well. But because of that, because of doing dev work and whatever, they get exposed to this sort of online asset, like game asset world much faster. Versus in the US, especially within males, the awareness of hyper-speculative assets is very high. So both reasons, like more awareness in the US and because in other countries, dev knowledge is restricted, like crypto knowledge is restricted to dev people, and they have more money. That's why this happens. So it's like, in a way, it's a good thing because it just means that the US is richer and in many ways more egalitarian than a lot of places in the world. But from my perspective, it's just different. It's just one sort of new sort of thing to think about when you sort of strategize on how to grow here. Like the same playbooks that we always thought of don't apply. Like I remember when NFTs and meme coins first came about, I was not too worried. Because it was a great onboarding pipeline. Because I saw that all people in a random city in India who were doing meme coins were all devs. But that's not the case anymore in most countries. So it just requires a small shift in how you think about growth.
Neil Shroff, thank you very much. You really piqued my interest there. Boston chain, I like it.